So welcome everybody to this latest video on 160 Maths, and in this video we'll be going over frequency trees. So we'll be going over what it means, what the questions look like, along with some exam questions. Now before we get started on this particular topic, make sure that you're happy with two-way tables, working out fractions of amounts, working out percentage of amounts, both with and without a calculator, sharing a ratio, and what is meant by finding the proportion. A frequency tree is used to see the distribution of data between several groups. So for example here, what we've got is we've got 120 people were asked or given 5 minutes to solve a puzzle. And as you can see from the diagram, we can see that we've got a total of 120. Of these 120, 45 are under 18 and 75 are over 18. And actually that's not the best colour to use, pink on red. So let me just get rid of that. Hopefully the purple's a little bit better. Yep, just a little bit. Now in terms of this, we can see that in terms of those 45 people, that 35 did not go on to solve and 10 did not. Now what you need to notice, and obviously 43 people of the 75 went on to solve it and 32 did not, of the people that are 18 and over. Now the key thing to remember is that with each of these sort of bubbles that come out of a certain cell, that those two add up to give me this cell here, and likewise with regards to these two here, add up together to give me that number there. Now it's always important you know what should add up to what, and also recognize that in terms of the columns, that those two need to add up to the grand total, which in this case is 120. And likewise, if I add up all of those four cells, then they should also add up to the grand total of 120. So the sub ones can add up to the ones they come this kind of sprouting from, but the actual overall each column should add up to the grand total. Now in this particular question it's asking me how many solve the puzzle. Well, solve the puzzle is going to be 35 plus 43, which gives me an answer of 78. And how many of those did not then go on to solve it? Well, that's going to be 10 plus 32, which gives me an answer of 42. Now, many questions asked involve completing a frequency tree and then answering questions related to proportion or related to probability. Now, often to complete a frequency tree, this is going to involve working with fractions, percentages, ratios, but most importantly, it's going to involve reading the question carefully, of highlighting the key bits of information. Now let's just have a quick refresh on working out the fractions of amounts. So the method to do this is just divide the amount by the denominator and multiply by the numerator. So in this case, if I want to work out what 2/3 of 60 was, then what I'll do is I'll do 60 divided by 3, which is 20, multiply that by 2, and that gives me an answer of 40. So 2/3 of 60 equals 40. Now when working with percentages, what you want to do here is, again, it depends on whether it's calculator or non-calculator. For non-calculator questions, you'd have to work it out manually. So again, to work out 50%, divide the number by 2. To work out 25%, divide the number by 4 or divide by 2 twice. 10% is divide the number by 10 or move the decimal place one place to the left, making it smaller. To find 5%, find 10%, then divide the number by 2. And then to find 1% is either divide by 100 or move the decimal point 2 places to the left. Alternatively, if it's on a calculator paper, you can use decimal multipliers. So an example of this could be, i.e., so to find 20% of, let's go for £48, 48. Now for this, again, it's going to be working in decimals, so it's going to be a little bit tricky. Well, let's change this to 480 so we're not. So then 10% is going to equal 48. So therefore 20% is going to be double that, which gives me 96. So here 20% of 480 equals 96. Now if I was going to do it on a calculator, all I need to do is convert 20% into a decimal, multiply that by 480, and that would give me the answer of 96 also. Now when it comes to sharing a ratio, so again the three steps are: add the numbers in the ratio, which gives you the total number of parts, divide the total by the total amount by the total number of parts, which is basically your answer part 1, and then multiply the answer in part 2 by the numbers in the ratio. So for example, if I wanted to share £360 in the ratio of, let's say, 4 to 5, so then what I'll do is I'll do 4 plus 5, which is 9, 360 divided by 9, which would give me 40. And then I'll do 4 times 40 and then 5 times 40. So that would be 4 times 40, which is 160. And so that'd be 160 pounds or 160. And 5 times 40, which gives me 200. And that's just a quick way of working out your ratios. So let's have a look at some example questions. So here it says that there are 120 people in a theatre, 72 are female. Of these, 41 purchased an ice cream, 36 males purchased an ice cream. I'm going to use this information to complete the tree diagram. Now a good place to start is always at the total, which is in this case 120. Now we know that there's 72 females, so this box here is going to be 72, and of these 72, 41 purchased an ice cream, so that's going to be 41. And we also know that 36 males purchased an ice cream. So from the information that's been given to me in the question, I filled in 4 of the 7 boxes that I then need to do. So what I now need to do is use my knowledge of that the frequency diagram is all about totals. So here, working out this box here, well, these two added together need to give me 72. So to work out that one, I do 72 take away 41, which gives me an answer of 31. Now to work out this next one here, well, I know that these two numbers, so the number of males and females, need to add together to make 120. So that's going to be 120 take away 72, which is going to give me 48. Now then to work out this last box, well, I know that these two numbers added together need to add up to give me 48. So I do 48 take away 36, which gives me an answer of 12. And then I've completed my frequency tree diagram. So moving on to our second example, it says here that there are 90 penguins in a zoo. There are 2 types, the Humboldt and Emperor penguins. 52 are female. Of these, 6 are Emperor penguins, and there are 5 male Emperor penguins. And we need to use this information to complete the frequency tree. So again, looking at the key bits of information that's given to me in the question, I know there's 90 penguins altogether. 52 of these are female, and of these 52, 6 are Emperor penguins, and there are 5 male Emperor penguins. So I just need to fill out those 3 boxes in terms of information that's not been given to me. Well, to then work out what this box here is, the number of males, so that's going to be 90 take away 52, which is going to give me 38. Now of these 2 numbers here, so this number here plus this number here needs to add together to give me 38. So for this one here, all I've got to do is 38 take away 5, which gives me 33. And likewise for this one here, those 2 numbers added together needs to give me 52. So that there is going to be 52 take away 6, which gives me 46. And then looking at example 3, it says there are 90 pupils at a primary school. 48 of the pupils are girls. A third of the girls and 2/3 of the boys play football. Complete the frequency tree. So now what we're doing is we're introducing fractions. So here we've got 90 students in total, and we've got 48 are girls. Now that means that to work out the boys, I've got to do 90 take away 48, which gives me an answer of 42. Now in terms of the next bit, I need to use this bit of information. So it says I need to work out what 1/3 of girls, so which is 48. So that's going to be 48 divided by 3 times 1, which gives me 16. So 16 girls play football. So then to work out the number that don't play football, it's going to be 48 take away 16, which gives me 32. And then what I then need to do is work out the boys. So it says that 2/3 of the total number of boys, which is 42. So then if I then do 42 divided by 3 multiplied by 2, it gives me 28. So that means 28 boys play football. So then how many do not? Well, it's simply going to be 42 take away 28, which gives me an answer of 14. Then looking at our fourth example, so here it says that 180 apples there are 180 apples in a grocery store. They're either red or green. Exactly 1/3 of the apples are red, and 1/5 of the red apples and 1/4 of the green apples are bruised, and we need to complete the tree diagram. So first things first, we know that we've got 180 apples. Now it says that exactly a third, so what I need to do first is do a third of 180. So 180 divided by 360 times 1, which is 60. So 60 are red, meaning that there are 120 green. Again, how did I work that out? 180 take away 60. Now for this, what I then need to do is I know that a fifth of the red apples, so 1/5 of 60. So if I do, that's going to give me 12 are bruised. So that's going to be 12. And then if I then do 1/4 of 120, that gives me 30. And then I can then, so that's in terms of bruised. So then from this, the next bits I then need to work out are how many are not bruised. Well, 12, what plus 12 gives you 60? Well, that's going to be 48. And what plus 30 gives you 120? Well, that's going to be 90. So then again, I've completed my tree diagram. Now moving on to our next question, it says that 38 boys and 22 girls visit a zoo. 33 of these children have a voucher. Twice as many boys as girls do not have a voucher. Complete the tree diagram. Now this question is a little bit tricky because it doesn't tell me what the total number of people are, but by reading the question carefully, I can work that out. So here the grand total is going to be 38 plus 22, which gives me 60. Now, in terms of the boys and girls, well, I know that if I add up all the boys, which is these two here, and that represents the boys, and there are 38. So those two purple cells need to add up to give me 38. So these two numbers added together need to equal 38. And likewise for the girls, that these two numbers here need to add up to equal 22 because there are 22 girls that go. Now the next thing it then says that twice as many boys as girls do not, 33 of these have a voucher. So in terms of having a voucher, that's going to be 33. So then to work out this, I've just got to do 60 take away 33, which gives me an answer of 27. Now here it says that twice as many boys as girls do not have a voucher. So in terms of 27, what I've got to do is I've got to share 27 in the ratio of 2 to 1, where 2 is the boys and girls is the 1. So here I do 27 divided by 3, which equals 9. So then I do 2 times 9, which is 18, and 1 times 9, which is 9, meaning that these two numbers here are going to be 18 and 9. Now if I look at the totals, 18 plus what gives you 38? Well, that's going to be 20. And what plus 9 gives you 22? Well, that's going to be 13. And there I've completed my frequency tree. So now let's have a look at some exam style questions. So in question 1, it says that 500 people are asked if they drink coffee. 9 out of 10 said yes. 20% of the people who said yes drink at least 3 cups each day. And part A asking us to complete the frequency tree. So for this, what I need to do is work out first what 9/10 of 500 is going to be. Well, 500 divided by 10 is 50, and 50 times 9 is 450. So then this is going to be 450, and the people who said no is going to be 500 take away 450, which is 50. Now the next thing I then need to work out is what 20% of 450 is going to be. Well, 10% is 45, so then 20% is going to be double that, which is 90. So that's going to be 90. Then what plus 90 gives you 450? Well, that's going to be 360. And there I've completed my tree diagram. Now one thing you should note is that this question is worth 4 marks, in which I'd get 1 mark for each of these correct numbers that I filled into my frequency tree. Now in terms of part B, it says what fraction of the 500 drink at least 3 cups of coffee each day. So for this, it's about proportions. So how many people of the 500 drink at least 3 cups? So that's going to be 90. So it's going to be 90 over 500. And then the question asks me to write it simplest form. So if I divide both numbers by 10, I get my final answer as 9 over 50. Now looking at question 2, this one's very, very similar to our fifth example. So it says 42 men and 38 women visit a restaurant. 44 of these people have a voucher. 3 times as many men as women do not have a voucher. And we want to complete the tree diagram. So again, very, very similar to what we did previously. So to work out the total, let's just add those two numbers up. So that's going to be 42 plus 38, which gives me an answer of 80. So a nice number there. It says 44 of these have a voucher, so that's 44. So then those two numbers, what plus 44 gives me 80? Well, that's going to be 36. Now it then says that 3 times as many men as women do not have a voucher. So here, do not have a voucher is 36. So what I want to do is I want to share 36 in the ratio of 3 to 1. Where have I got 3 to 1 from? Because there's 3 times as many men as there are women. So sharing the ratio, I get 36 divided by 4, which is 9. So I'm going to do 3 times 9, which is 27, and 1 times 9, which is 9. So then this here is going to be 27, and that's going to be 9. Now from the second bit of information, which is looking at the number of men and women, that what plus, so these two here need to add up to give me 42. So then to work this one out here, I've just got to do 42, take away 27, which gives me 15. And then for the women, we've got that these two numbers here need to add up to 38. So then I just got to do 38, take away 9, which is 27. 29 rather. So let me just correct that. And there we have got our final answer. Now moving on to our last exam question, it says that a takeaway sells 10-inch pizzas and 12-inch pizzas. Here are some information about the numbers that sold in 2 weeks. Now I don't quite like the presentation of this particular question. It's a little bit distorted. So this is week 1 and week 2 is the frequency tree. Now the question A says in each week a proportion of pizzas sold were 10-inch. In which week was the proportion greater? And we need shell working out for this. So for A, in terms of week 1, now proportion is basically the total divided by the grand total. So for week 1 the proportion is 512 over the total, which is 743. Now if I just get the calculator out and work that out, so 512 divided by 743 equals, and then if I press to convert that into a decimal, it gives me 0.689. So 0.689, there's a few decimals after it. Now in terms of week 2, again, I look at how many 10-inch pizzas were sold. Well, 10-inch pizzas sold was 758. How many were sold in total? Well, that's going to be 1065 or 1065 is more commonly known as. I don't know what's going on there. So again, if I convert that into a decimal, so I've got 758 divided by 1065 gives me an answer of 0.711. Now in terms of which one's greater, well, week 2. So week 2 sold more. And there we go.